Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Kate Slate. I am a college and career counselor at Chatham High School in Chatham, New Jersey. And we are here today tonight, I should say, to learn a little bit more about SUNY Potsdam. I am going to first share my screen in order to go over a couple housekeeping items. So the first thing to keep in mind, let me put this into present for us all here. First thing to keep in mind is if we're going to ask any questions, to utilize the Q&A button to type your questions in for our presenter. And keep in mind, this is a webinar style Zoom, so your camera and microphone are off, so don't worry, we can't hear or see you. And we definitely recommend you sign up for more sessions at njaacac.org/virtual fair. There are plenty more Thursday and Friday, so we definitely encourage it. And this session will be recorded, so they'll be at the same website as well. So if you yourself want to rewatch, or if you have friends that could not make it, definitely share it with them in that regard. But I'm going to stop sharing and I will pass it off to John.
Anybody on?
I was saying, and John, I was doing my normal spiel, but I noticed, yeah, I don't know if we have anyone on.
No. Because I'm so used to it now with the new technology.
I was going to say, you must be so used to it.
Like I'm doing, because I cover Long Island, a lot of the New Jersey stuff. And it's been crazy. Like I go into, we set up Zoom chats and all this stuff.
Sure.
Like, oh, the kids will meet you. And it's like, okay, I sit in there for 1 hour and nobody shows. It's crazy.
I get it. And we are a very privileged school district in that we have a college and career counselor, so that is my job, right? So I go into the session, so at the very least,
right,
I would chat with that person, right? Because we've had a couple.
Kate, it's crazy. Sometimes I don't even get the actual counselor. I had that twice already, but I've had schools where it's like, oh, hey, yeah, we'll put this in advertising, and nobody shows. I literally sit there like this.
And it's funny too, because there's just so many factors, right? And then it's we try not to take it. So I used to work in admissions too at Ithaca.
Oh, cool.
And you try not to take it personally, right? But then you're like, but is it me or the school? But kids are we're hybrid. Every school's different. Some are so fatigued, and they're just we want to go outside.
My cousins, because most of my family's in New Jersey, so
okay.
The one group is down in Point Pleasant, so my uncle's actually the administrator for technology superintendent down in Point Pleasant. So
nice. Okay.
He's like,
very busy.
He's like, you have no idea what I'm getting hit with right now.
Oh my gosh, the tech.
Technology, man. How do we get these kids online? Technology, man. What about these clauses? Do we have to send contracts? He's like, oh.
And some of the stuff straight up just isn't working, like Schoology or all these things we use. They're just it's offline right now because it's just broken.
Well, and even for us, I've had districts that complain, we don't use Zoom. We need to do Google Meet. I'm like, okay, I'll change it to Google Meet. We don't use that, but we use Microsoft Teams. Sorry, you tried the other two. I'm like, okay, let me use Microsoft Teams.
That's kind of funny because
I get nobody anyway.
We do, right? We as a district use Google Meets, but it's horrible. So anytime a rep will give us Zoom, I'm like, for sure,
wow.
Please give me your Zoom. But
wow.
Yes, and navigating it and.
Wow. No, and that's the hard part, Kate. It's such a strange year. That's what my uncle's like. I asked him and he's like, John, it's just don't think it's you, man. He's like, the districts are whacked out right now.
They are.
He's like, the guidance counselors are under such burden doing, because he said, and I forgot about this because I used to do adolescent ed. I have a background in teaching.
Oh, cool.
And it was high school science. That was my background.
Science.
So, and I graduated at the downturn. So people are like, oh, wow, you probably remember the bad economy. I'm like, yeah, I graduated 2009 and there was no work. I was substitute king, every day you went to a different school.
Right.
And no, it was just funny because he was just saying it's really sad. He's like, the guidance counselors are the first line of defense, rewriting the programs, the schedules, especially with COVID, right? So you guys are doing hybrid group A, hybrid group B. Okay. Yeah. Who's in school? Who's not in the school? How are we tracking the grades? How are the teachers coordinating with the counselor?
100%. And every parent goes to the counselor because there's
right.
to go to. Yeah.
He's like, the guidance secretaries are not in the building in some of the districts. He's like, they're out on, I can't come to work.
Right. right.
So he's like, we have them out on leave. So he's like, the guidance counselors are literally the go-to people right now. And he's like, understand that. And, I called a few schools that, I did great fairs with over the years. And they're like, John, it's just not our year, man. We'll talk to you next fall. Like, we're just trying to keep afloat this year. We can't do chats. It's just, it's so weird. And
Totally. I would imagine that with like schools that don't have nearly as many counselors as we do or privileged to have.
yeah,
Like, yeah, it's just like I'll randomly get like, hi, have you considered using this new platform? It's like, I haven't considered anything. Like, I'm considering the school day and the kids. And
right.
so like, I'm so sorry. Like you have a business, but like call me in a year, like
And now that the College Board's trying to sell us names, I mean, they play in that game. So it's like, hey, would you guys like to buy some names? And we're like, nobody took the SATs last year. So these would be old, okay?
right,
Old data.
right. Like we already bought them, so why would we
I
rebuy?
think these are now current freshmen in college.
That's hilarious.
So I brought that up at I brought that up at the meeting. I'm like, guys, I don't think it pays to buy names this year because they don't have any data.
It does not. You're so right.
So that was one of the things they brought up. And then what was the other thing? They're like, well, when do you think the schools are going to reopen so we can go in there and do these chats? I'm like, I don't think they're going to reopen right now. There's a lot of issues going on, because again, we're in the northern tier. So everything is fine and getting better, Kate. We've had 4 people pass away in the county for the whole start of COVID.
Right. My brother-in-law went to Plattsburgh, so it's kind of a similar, like, different world. Like,
different world.
Totally.
And, growing up downstate, like, I knew what everybody faced. My cousins in Ocean County is now a hot spot right now. I mean, they are like, you have no idea what we are in right now.
So we started in person, and then we had 30 positive cases, so we had to go virtual.
You guys had 30?
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, it just depends on the school. There's no way to generalize it, although I'm sure like admission admin would love to, but there's just no way to do that.
No, it's cookie. And even like we had a discussion the other week, and they called me the bad guy because like my other 2 people in my office, they're like, John, because they were like not understanding why campuses are not open and why aren't people taking visitors, and even our campus, half our faculty are not on the campus. They're lazy. And I'm like, okay, guys, like, understand the reality here. I said, a lot of our faculty are older, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I understand where they're coming from, okay? We're talking folks 60s, 70s, 80s. They're in a high-risk pool.
They've never seen anything like this before in their lives.
Right. So I said, understand that. And they were mad with the chancellor. So I'm like, understand where he's coming from. He wants to make sure we're not at full capacity on any campus with staffing or students. Why? Because it's known that it's volume, okay? You have too many people in a certain area in a building, and it just, and they were like, well, why? And I'm like, understand what he's doing. Like, look what just happened to poor Oswego. Look what happened to poor Oneonta. Oneonta, almost 1,000 positives, 700 to be precise.
Really?
700.
Wow.
They shut down for the entire semester.
That's incredible for Oneonta.
Oswego just came back. They were
you guys virtual.
We went hybrid. So like some of our kids are doing virtual from home. The other group is on campus. But again, most of the classes are going to be, online anyway. But there's a few that they can go to on the campus.
Right. They can do it or whatever.
But it's just, we're trying to play it safe. And I tried to explain that to them, like, guys, like, we're just trying to play it safe. In a second, I'm like, we could look like Oswego, Oneonta, Albany. Cortland just got shut down today. That was the big announcement out of SUNY. Cortland had 200.
Wow.
Yep. And I'm like,
yeah, it's like the same concept of, do we buy the insurance? Do we actually need it? You just don't know, right? Like, so.
No. And that's what I said. I said, and all I said was, all I literally said, Kate, was, I understand where the chancellor's coming from. Okay. And they just were so.
They're like,
you're the reason why. And I'm like, look, I'm just explaining where he's coming from.
Just applying logic to the circumstances, right?
Right. Like, this is where we're at, guys. Like, just, why aren't the applications coming in like they usually do? I'm like, I think there's going to be a delay of 2 to 3 months. I said, based on family that is in the schools, I said, hearing from them, I said, they're just worried about going into the school itself, the building. Is it safe? I said, that's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, yes, they will worry about college. I said, but most likely you'll see a delay and they'll probably start applying later. You'll see, the applications coming in November, December instead of September, October. And then that whole thing will be shifted 2 to 3 months. So we used to see the boom in December. The boom might take place in March. Okay.
Shots,
But it's just reality,
I agree. I will say our district, we have a 98% college going rate, so it's a
Right.
very affluent district and well resourced. And compared to other years, I've only been here for 3 years, but compared to other years, we're so like quote unquote behind. Like usually our population is like crazy. They have it done in like the
Correct.
first week of September, which is just, in my opinion, like I hate that. But that's not the case this year. Like they're totally, so if you want to tell your supervisor, like from a school that has a 98% retention rate, like we're so delayed, like we're very delayed compared to what I
I
saw.
remember the best was because I had to reach, I cover parts of Manhattan. So I
Yeah.
reached out to Stuyvesant High School, which is known. I mean, that is the science high school, the whole city. Like that is the elite of the elite with the best and brightest. And
Yes.
the counselor, he was great. Jeff wrote me right back. He said, John, we are in such a bad spot right now. He said,
Manhattan, oh my God.
no, and that's what he told me. He said, he took my information. I said, look, here's, links, virtual visit, chat, whatever. And he was grateful. He's like, John, we just can't do any chats. We can't do anything. He said, the only priority we're putting on right now are the Ivy Leagues. He's like, we're just trying to get those lined up because that's what the families want. So he's like, I'm trying to get Harvard, Columbia.
Right. Customer service. Yeah.
Right. Just to keep these folks happy here. But again, I could see it, just that stress, Kate, that he just,
Yeah.
he's trying his best. And he's like, my kids are not even thinking about college. And these are kids that always crave college. And he's like,
100%.
right. He's like, they're just worried about what's tomorrow, what's 2 days from now.
It's tomorrow a B day or an A day, or am I in person, or it's wild.
Even families. I mean, that was the thing I was seeing because, again, we're further away. I mean, we're 6.5 hours
Yeah, it's far.
from, New York City, Long Island, and parts of New Jersey. And, I had that towards the end of last year where some of the families just were like, the students were like, I just want to be with my family. I don't want them to be alone with this stuff. And I'm like, I get it. Like,
you're like, dang, that's what makes you a student we want, right? But we get it, right?
No, I had so many of those emails where it's like, I get it, guys. Like, I get it.
Yeah, we had a couple of those.
No, and it's tougher this year because now it's like last year reality wasn't setting in yet. This year it's setting in. It's scarier because they saw what happened last year. It's repeating itself again this year.
Yeah.
You got folks saying, hey guys, by December we might be having, 3,000 passing away a day in the US.
Right.
I mean, what trauma, that's what we're talking about even on our campus. Mental health is scary right now. Mm-hmm. These are students that, what about senior prom? What about, the school dances we used to have? What about, all the clubs, the sporting events? And that's the hard part, but thankfully I had that school background, so I get it. Like I worked with guidance counselors, I worked with, admin, so I see it on their end, and I know exactly what you guys are going through. Where other folks, this is all they've done their whole career. It's like, I've been in admissions 25 years, right out of college. I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. But
yeah,
like, you got to understand the other side of where they're coming from.
For sure, much appreciated, yeah.
Where your students are at, right? I mean, I know how the students.
We're all here for, right?
Right. People are like, do you think we need to get more money on them? I'm like, I think the scholarships are fine, okay? We're $7,500 out of state. We're, I think, up to $6,000 for in-state. I'm like, $7,500 is a lot for out of state. I said, even though we're $32 a year for everything out of state, we're $7,500 discount, for scholarships if they have 86 or better.
Yeah, that's huge.
So I had a lot of students from New Jersey last year. Like, wait a minute, like, I can go to SUNY Potsdam cheaper than New Jersey school.
Yeah, then Rutgers. I mean, that's why I went to Binghamton. That's why I
Right.
went to SUNY. Like, it was cheaper for me to go out of state.
It's
So
great. And Binghamton, the education's phenomenal. I mean,
yes,
just
yeah. I mean, all the SUNY schools I'm a big fan of, but
well, and that's the thing. Like, I think the hardest thing is when we do the fairs, and it's like, what makes you special out of the 64? And I'm like, well, I'll just say location number one because it is. I mean, we're
mm,
in the northern tier.
right.
And that's the funny part because like me and Jess, she's over in Plattsburgh, but that's what we joke because we're like in the same league. It's like,
Sure.
yes, we're in the northern fringe.
Yes.
And we're always like, look, guys, we're up by Montreal, we're up by Ottawa, we're by the Adirondacks,
Which is awesome.
which is really cool. So that's really neat. And what's the other one? No, and that's how we advertised it. We all look similar. The only specialty we had was Crane School of Music, so that we attract a lot of kids to.
That's what. So my husband grew up in Poughkeepsie, and when I said I was doing Potsdam, he's like, "Oh, music like that." He's like, "Oh, I used to have friends who would go Potsdam for the music."
Cool.
So
No, and that's the fun part. Like, what we're trying to do is even try to get more New Jersey students to look into, the Crane School Music. Again, with those scholarships, they have music scholarships. So that was really our goal, was try to expand our reach in New Jersey to help out, to get them. Again, it's tough, and my group is like, wait a minute, is New Jersey that far from us? I'm like, it's actually closer than Long Island students.
which is bizarre, but yeah,
It's weird because again, my cousins are down. They've driven up here and they're like, John, it was only 5.5 hours. 6 hours, depends where you are in Jersey.
sure. Yeah.
But no, and that's the cool part because a lot of New Jersey families know what the Adirondacks are. That's the cool part.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I go to Long Island, it's like, what's the Adirondacks? You in Westchester? Wait, the Catskills. It's Catskills.
Right, Jones Beach. What?
Yeah. Right, Jones Beach. Right. Long Beach Island. And I'm like, no, like we're by the Adirondacks. Wait, by Buffalo then. I'm like, you guys know where Albany is, the capital. Keep going north of that. Oh, yes. Where families in New Jersey, I say Adirondacks, like, oh yeah, we've been up there camping, we go fishing, kayaking, canoeing. Even though your brother's up in Plattsburgh, so he knows the area.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. So that's what I always told my group. I'm like, guys, like there is a really strong interest in where we are from New Jersey families because we're in the backyard. We're not that far. Just like Pennsylvania is not that far.
Right.
I mean, you can go down to Scranton area, and Scranton literally is only 5.5 hours away. So that's the cool part for us. And, like my director, my boss, my vice president, actually, that's why he was excited with the out-of-state scholarships because he's like, look, if we can do 7,500, he's like, we're bringing that down to in-state tuition for a New Jersey family or a Pennsylvania family. So all of a sudden, I know it's like, wow, 26, 27.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I know we got like 25 minutes more to go.
I know. I mean, I don't know. It stinks that no one's here, but
you just never know. I mean, I've had that where it's like somebody.
Time slot is tough, and tonight's the debate, and so.
Oh, you're right.
So, it's not till 9, but I don't know how many.
I know it's all the pre-partying and.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! And then everybody's like, "Why did you get a mail-in ballot this year?" I'm like, it's safety, okay? I don't trust going in there.
Right. Well, New Jersey sent them to everyone, so.
Oh, really? You guys got wow.
It's a law, yeah. Our governor enacted.
Again, it's no big deal. I mean, I get it. You and I both know how that goes. It's sweaty. You can smell everything in there anytime you go in. Everybody touched the same pen that you got. You all follow that same pen.
Right. Totally.
I know nobody's got Clorox wipes. So.
Right. Yeah, you can't get them. So.
No, I think that's the funny part. Is my cousin. He's telling me, he's like, dude, we went to every ShopRite on the shore and couldn't find the wipes.
Right.
I'm like, well, I hate to tell you, but I was in Costco in Syracuse, and they had the value pack with 6 for $19.
Yeah, hilarious.
Like, no joke, Costco had them.
Right, population thing.
It was crazy. I mean, I went into Costco in Syracuse, Kate, and literally, I got Clorox wipes, Kirkland paper towels, toilet paper,
Yeah.
Lysol in the spray can, and the toilet bowl cleaner too. All at Costco, Syracuse.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
I was like, this is crazy. My cousin's like, you know how many ShopRites we've hit up on the Jersey Shore?
Yeah, the shore definitely does not have an abundance of resources.
No. And
Lots of beach, but that's about it.
oh man, it's insane. I mean, and you know, like I think what you tell me, then they hit the BJ's up down there. Like BJ's didn't have anything, ShopRite didn't have anything. Where else did they hit up? I think they hit up Whole Foods. They thought maybe Whole Foods have something organic. I'm like, probably not.
No.
And it was weird because even up here, I know 2 weeks ago I went into Price Chopper, which is that's down by Binghamton. Price Chopper, it's a supermarket chain. But I went in there. Literally, they had a whole shelf. I took a camera shot of it. 2 shelves worth of wipes, and they also had the Lysol spray cans. I'm like, this is a godsend right now.
And that you could sell those, yeah.
That's what my brother texted me. He's like, dude, you should have cleaned out the shelf and put it on eBay. I'm like, I couldn't. You know, it was limit 2 per item, so I took 2 wipes and two spray cans.
What you need, yeah.
You know, it's not like Costco where it's like, oh, well, I can get 6, but that's the limit of 1, so that's a win.
Right.
You know, it's just it's crazy, and like you said, it's different way of life. You know, like, you know, my cousin's like, you have no idea. We wait on lines to get into a grocery store down here. Like they actually count how many people are going in.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, I just go into the Costco and there's nobody in the store.
Yeah.
And that's Syracuse.
Different worlds, although not too far apart.
No, and you know, it's. I think the only thing I noticed is, you know, it's a different mentality. I think because downstate and everybody in New Jersey, like you guys experienced COVID firsthand, seeing it and like how it affected people. It created like a sense of safety. Like, hey, like you guys know right away as soon as something starts happening, like, okay, let's shut it down, mask up, clean the place.
Right.
You know, for us, it's still trying to set in. Like your brother will see, you know, tell you like,
right.
There's people that are just like, there ain't no virus, it's not happening. Yes. You know, why even wear a mask? Okay. I'm like, the mask is a safety thing. Okay.
It's science.
I don't care who you are, what party. It doesn't look, the virus don't care who you are, man. Okay.
Clearly, yeah.
All right. Even if you just wear it to save somebody that's older, all right. And they're still learning so much, Kate, about young people and how it's affecting their heart, their brains, their lungs.
Right. The long term is,
and that's
horrible.
That's what we don't know. And that's when you know, it's just like some of these folks, I'm just like, guys, like, you don't understand. You know, like people don't remember New York City having those do you want refrigeration trucks? Would you like that? You know, and they're like,
how is that not jarring to you? How does that not make you like,
but like, you see what I mean? Like you had that, I had that, but to them it's like, well, it ain't happening here. This is the northern part of New York. Don't you know COVID doesn't live up here? It doesn't exist. It can never live up here.
It will die. Yeah.
Right. No, I've heard every line. I'm like, it can die. The cold, the fresh air, all the pine trees. And I'm like, okay, I want you guys to take a look at a map right now. Check out what's happening in North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Wisconsin. That is the hotbed right now. Right. I said those are very rural communities. Okay. And all it has to do is it just takes a hold. That's all it has to do in a community. And they just don't wrap their mind around that. I'm like, guys, and the colder weather is moving in up here. And that's what happened already out in the plains. The Great Plains are chilling down. They're cold. They're damp. You know, rain, snow. And that's what we're starting to transition to. You know, we had 60 degrees today. It was warm. It was sunny, you know, windy. We had rain come through. Arctic fronts coming through. Tomorrow is 45. Tomorrow night, 26. Okay.
October up there, yeah.
Cold and chilly.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, you know, I don't know what to tell people anymore. You know, after a while, I'm like, hey, I'm going to keep suiting up, washing my hands, wearing a mask, you know, just, you know, stay away from me. Keep your 6 feet.
Yeah.
I should probably say 12 feet now because they keep revising that.
Yeah, seriously.
It's, well, the hard part is like my one cousin, she's a nurse at Sloan Kettering. She's in,
Mm,
what is the township in New Jersey? Cranford.
yeah.
Yep. So she's in Cranford. And, she's just like, I've been a nurse. She's like, I get it, John. Like, people just don't understand. I see it firsthand. I see what it does. And she's like, think of it like a bioreactor. The more people that get it, the more particulate is in the air with that virus. She said each person keeps contributing. So she said, even like a lot of our hospitals, when we first had issue, it was because that virus kept spewing, right? Everybody's dumping these people in the hospital. So the
Right.
hospital becomes a giant ward of, right, a giant cloud of COVID particles. So she said, if we didn't have the right PPE, the moon suits and all that stuff, she's like, it was infecting nurses, doctors, people cleaning the rooms.
Right.
So she said, finally, we realized, hey, we got to upgrade negative pressure, ventilation systems, HEPA filters with MERV 15, 16. She said, just to get it under control in the hospital. But she said the same can happen for that school, for that, community center, that wedding that happened, that funeral, all these closed indoor events where she's like, look, if people don't have a mask and there's just a few people and they keep adding the virus matter to the air, it's a problem. And she said that's what we were seeing with a lot of the cases. And hey, if you could just crank a window open in your school building, right, that'll make a huge difference. The Japanese actually, she shared this story. The Japanese found this out back in February and March. The Japanese researchers said, hey, we understand people, are in airtight schools, buildings. All you need to do, just crank the window open. Let the fresh air in. It will reduce the viral load. Even if you can't find fancy filters, UV star, all that stuff. They're just like, crank a window, keep it open. And that will literally knock down the virus by 75 to 80% because it's all bioload. So that was such a cool study when I read that. And she's like, I just wish people, even just these little steps are things people can take. Just
right. But it's so tough because like we have a bunch of classrooms, including
yep,
my office, we
super sealed.
have a window.
I know, or
So
super sealed.
yeah. So
no, and that's where admin, and this is the problem. Like my uncle was saying, on the shore, like admin has to go room to room, doing a survey, writing down what they're seeing, what's the airflow, what's the HVAC capacity.
Right.
Do we have UV sterilizers? Do we have mobile air filters for these folks? If these rooms can't be equipped with that, can we shift them to a different room or, take commandeer a classroom, make that a counseling center, right? Put 2 or 3 guidance counselors in that classroom,
Sure.
spaced apart with their desks, but the
Right.
windows are open.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that was things that they were juggling down on the shore with,
Yeah.
literally doing a safety walkthrough to best adapt with equipment. It's, and again, keeping your fingers crossed, and like you said, the cheapest insurance, just wear the mask, like.
Oh gosh, for sure.
It's worked so far. And I think like my cousin said, the hardest part too, like they were seeing too, it's usually eating time. That's usually the hardest area when we see spread is, just like the restaurants were having trouble, the cafeterias. So like that's what they're trying to do, like they put plastic dividers up, space the students out more in the cafeteria, eat outside if they can, right? Put them outside to eat because they have to take the mask off at that point to have food. It's so many logistics that you guys are facing. And
everyone across
everybody. No, that's true, Kate. That is even in the SUNY campuses. I mean, my friends in Cortland were like, dude, we just got shut. I'm like,
it stinks.
ay.
Trying to get back to some normalcy and it stinks.
Cortland had some of the coolest people. We always did the fair. They were always known as like the athletic school in SUNY.
Yes.
That was just like their trademark.
Yes, all the athletes.
It was like if you're an athlete, Cortland.
Yep.
Phys ed, gym teacher, Cortland.
Yep, we had the same.
It was funny. Brockport, guidance counseling. We always were like, hey, where do I go for guidance counseling? Brockport.
Yep.
Communications, weather, meteorology, or like Oswego. Each one of us has like a little niche area.
Personalities, right?
People would ask me, John, do you have nursing there? I'm like, no. Plattsburgh.
They do, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. Like at the fairs, we'll all send people to like different, like, we think about it. It's like, okay, like I think what did somebody hit me with? It's like, oh, do you have HVAC, in tech? And I'm like, no, that's SUNY Canton. That's one of our tech and trades. Or Morrisville has a great program.
Right.
So we're lucky that way. It's a really cool family that people just, come in, have a great experience, and we work together. We used to do the cool thing was, as college counselors, we actually had something called SUNY Cap. So we would actually be members of SUNY Cap, and they would host a SUNY Cap like a venue. So we actually went out to Niagara Falls last year. So we celebrated SUNY Cap out there, and basically like they do lectures. They bring people in that like supply us with like the pennants, the banners, the pens. So it's really this fun event where we all get together. We have the vendors there. They give out free stuff. It's like, hey, do you want a free? What did they give out the one year? It was really cool. I got the coffee mugs from
Nice.
what's that company that everybody wants them from? Stainless Steel. They're a camping company. Like
thermos. Yeah.
oh my, this is gonna bog me now.
I know what you're talking
This is
about.
like bad Jeopardy trivia right now. But no, so they gave those out. They gave out little mini lanterns. So it was just a really fun event. And then they treated us. We didn't even know this. So they have a place called Niagara Culinary Institute, and they joke about it. It's like NCIS, and it's owned by SUNY Niagara Community College. And it's downtown in Niagara Falls, and it's beautiful. So they actually train students in restaurant, like how to run a restaurant, how to cook, chefs, so cooks and stuff. And it was such a beautiful experience because they actually treated all of us. They had all the students there, and they were making us gourmet 5-star catered food. We literally sat down at the table. It was better than going to a Manhattan restaurant. They had fun cooking demos. So the one chef, he was a really cool guy, really great personality. So he's up at the front, and he was kind of like that guy from the Muppets, that chef that does the Swedish chef. That's the Swedish chef. Chicky, whatever. So the guy's like the same thing with the hat, and he's deciding he's gonna make little ice cream dots, the little dots, and he showed us how to make them. So literally, he makes a batter up of vanilla base. So he's putting, vanilla in there. He's putting cream. I think he put some rum in there. He's like, we add a little rum to make it taste good. And then basically he takes that and he splatters it into liquid nitrogen and literally made dots. And he just poured them out on the table, put them in little cups, and we had dots. And then he taught us another recipe where he's like, all right, we're going to have fun blowing things up in the kitchen with rum and bananas. And so he actually did bananas Foster. Okay. So really good recipe. So he took vanilla ice cream, which he made from scratch too, by the way, which was pretty cool. So he makes that. And he actually takes bananas, slices them up. He then sautés them in, banana cream like a rum base, but it's something you can get, with a black dark rum. So he puts those two together, brown sugar with molasses, okay? And then he lights it on fire, okay, to burn the alcohol off.
Right. And
that is your syrup that you drip over your ice cream for vanilla. A great summertime treat. Nice. It's called Bananas Foster. I didn't even know of it. And he gave us all samples, and we're like, man, this is really good. Like, it had the rum in there, it had the bananas with the banana taste, and the vanilla ice cream from scratch with the vanilla bean.
Yeah, that's a solid.
And that was like the best SUNY Cap ever. Then we had one in Lake Placid prior year. We went down to Ithaca. So we had one at Great Peak Lodge. So we hosted there. They made me do a 5K, which I was kind of shot afterwards. I was not in the best of shape, so I'm like, they're like, John, you need to do this. It's because we always do it for a cause. I'm like, for the American Cancer Society. I'm like, all right. I'll go out there and start running. Right. I know, like 5K later, I'm like, okay, I know I was the last to cross the line, but hey, I did it.
Right. Oh my gosh.
That was pretty cool. And the funny part down there's nothing to do. So like at night, we're like okay, I guess we're just staying in Great Peak Lodge.
Right.
They're like, well, Ithaca's kind of nearby if you drive a half hour. Syracuse is only an hour. I'm like, that's too much effort.
Yeah, that's too
We
much
were tired.
for sure.
So that was cool. No, and that's SUNY Cap. Like, it's really cool. So, and what's neat is it brings all of us together. So we have folks from Farmingdale, folks from Buff State, UB, Brockport. Basically all of us just get together at these, which is really cool.
Very cool.
I'm trying to think of. It's funny because even at the college fairs, we were asking Buffalo. We're like, guys, what's the hardest part? They're like, you have no idea what it's like being confused every time for UB and Buff State.
Right. Yes.
I'm like, no, I don't know what that's like. They're like, we're in the same town, and we get students that are totally different applicants coming to our table.
Very different, yeah.
And they are. Buff State will literally, if you say, hey, I got a pulse, you're in, okay?
Right. So different.
UB is like, do you have a 92 minimum with a 1600?
100%, right.
Right. So the rep is like, John, you have no idea what our life is like. We literally, it's this crisscross of like, this student should be at UB, this student should be at Buff State, and you know, even athletics, right? One's a D1, the other's a D3.
Yeah, right. So good.
So they get like the football guy coming up, he's like, hey, I'm here to play for D1 Buffalo. It's like, no, this is Buff State, we're D3. You want the table over there.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Or then they get the kid that comes up, hey, I'm here for the D3 soccer team. Okay, it's UB, we're D1. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, no, I don't want D1. No. I'm more, you know, somebody that wants to just focus on schooling, not D1 athletics.
Right.
So it's really, you know, that was the coolest story I know when they brought that up with me. They're just like, John, this was like the coolest story. And they're like, we just different personalities.
Yeah, so different.
And I think somebody had the same acronym. Well, we always get mixed up with Purchase. That's the funny part. So like they'll always be like, hey, Purchase, I just applied to your school. I'm like, we're Potsdam. Oh, sorry. I'm like, no, it's understood, you know.
Right.
And Purchase gets the same problem on there, and they're like, we get people from Potsdam. Right. So we get the P issue. Now, somebody has a similar name, and I know they always get it confused. I'm trying to think who it is. And then it's the mascot thing too. We even have a mascot competition, so there's a whole thing on that. So Plattsburgh's
in it before.
Yeah, Plattsburgh's the Cardinal. We're the Bears. Canton's the Kangaroo. Cortland's the Dragon. I'm trying to think of my other guys here.
Binghamton's Bearcat.
Albany's the Knights. Albany Knights. Maritime's got a sailor person, I think.
That makes sense.
Nobody knew who that was. Trying to think of the other. I think Geneseo, I'm going to say, has a cougar or something. Binghamton might have not Binghamton. Brockport, I think, has like an owl. Buffalo is the bison. That's always the bison. Yeah. Buffalo bison. I don't think Binghamton had a mascot. I think we asked Binghamton that. We're like, do you guys have a mascot?
Yeah, they're the Bearcats.
Bearcats, there we go. You're right. Oh, it was Stony Brook has the weird one. Stony Brook has the sea wolf.
The sea wolf, yeah.
People are like, wait, Stony Brook and Binghamton, how did you guys figure out these two unique creatures? Like, they don't even exist.
So a bearcat actually does exist.
No.
It's a nickname for what's called a bingarong.
Ah, okay.
It's an Asian type of like bear cat thing.
Interesting. But to most students, you know, like, well, the sea wolf doesn't exist. That's a known.
That's definitely fake. Because Binghamton Zoo used to have a bear cat, at least when I was there.
Oh, cool. Okay.
In their zoo, yeah. I know.
Because that's what I used to say to Andrew. I'm like, wait, you guys are the bear cat?
Right. Like, what's that? Yeah.
I'm like, bobcat? He's like, no, it's a bear cat, not a bobcat. I'm like, okay, sorry, I didn't want to confuse.
So funny.
You know, but it's just, you know, is what it is.
Totally. Well, it's 8:40. It was nice chatting with you.
Yeah, no, you know, it's a long night ahead. Also, before I forget, I'll give you my email too in case you ever
Yeah.
Even if you just want to set up like a thing with students or something too, I'm cool with that. Yeah, I can
Yeah. I don't know if there's a chat on this. Do you
Oh,
chat?
I see raise hand, mute, Q and usually it's Q and A.
Yeah.
Open
Oh,
answer.
there's Q&A, but I don't think we can
I
actually.
can just tell you, it's LEWIS
Okay.
JS. J is in John, S is in Smith.
JS.
Yep, at potsdam.edu. POTSDAM.edu.
Yeah.
But again, so it's LEWIS JS. J is in John, S is in Smith. At potsdam.edu.
Great. I'm typing it into my Gmail now, so I can send you an email.
Cool. No, and this way, like I said, if you guys want to set up, or I don't know if you're on rep visits, I can always click and do it that way. I don't know what you're on.
We are, but we already have like 140 visits.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't mean we could still definitely schedule something, but
Oh,
it
cool.
would be not during school hours, so there wouldn't be a
Yeah,
counselor.
look, Kate, whatever works.
So.
You know, it's even if I get one student, I can say, hey, I met one student. You know how that goes, right? How many did you find at the fair? Okay, one. All right, hey, it's a win. Okay.
Right, it's something. Yeah, it's a pulse.
Hey, at least you know what it's like. I mean, you did it, so you know what that was like going into schools and
Yeah, it does help having the reversed.
And you know what that, like I remember the days where it's like we'd go in there and it's like, okay, is there anybody in the guidance office?
Right.
And then they'd always like get some random person. Like I remember one school.
Here's the intern. Yeah.
Right. It's like, okay, here's this person that'll randomly talk to you, but it's not the guidance counselor.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And then the poor intern's like, wait, just wait a second. Okay, what did you say again? Let me write that down. We're gonna get this out to all the counselors in the building. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
Sure you are. Yeah, okay.
Okay, cool. Anyways, Kate, have fun. Enjoy the debate tonight.
Yeah, you too. I sent you an email, so yeah.
Oh, sweet. Let me make sure. I'll open up right now.
Sure.
Never came through unless it went in my clutter box. No. Oh, wait, there it is. Caitlin. Got it. Good to go. Cool. Perfect, Kate. Enjoy the rest of your night. And hey, we did this, so there we go.
Exactly. All right. Good night.
Night, Kate.
Bye.